Imagine planting a single tomato seed and getting 3 times the usual amount of juicy tomatoes. Now, imagine that the exact method to do this was discovered back in 1943 and then mysteriously wiped from public memory. Today, we are cracking open the history books. We are going to reveal a forgotten gardening technique that the billion-dollar fertilizer industry desperately wants you to ignore. It is not magic. It is pure, forgotten science. Are you ready to expose the truth and transform your backyard? Let's dig in. Tell me in the comments right now, do you trust modern chemical fertilizers? Let us travel back to the year 1943. The world was in the middle of a massive global conflict. Food shortages were everywhere. Governments urged everyday citizens to plant victory gardens. People had to grow their own food in their backyards, on rooftops, and in empty lots. But they did not have access to the fancy synthetic chemicals we have today. They had to rely on nature. During this time of desperate need, agricultural scientists and brilliant farmers developed a highly efficient, entirely natural way to boost plant growth. It was a golden age of organic innovation. But as soon as the war ended, something changed. Huge factories that used to make explosives suddenly needed a new way to make money. They shifted to making synthetic nitrogen fertilizers. And just like that, the incredible natural methods of 1943 were pushed into the shadows. So, what exactly is this forgotten method? To understand it, we must first change how we look at the dirt beneath our feet. Modern gardening teaches us to feed the plant. You buy a bottle of liquid fertilizer, pour it on the roots, and hope for the best. But the 1943 secret flips this entirely upside down. The secret is that you never feed the plant. Instead, you feed the soil. You see, healthy soil is basically a bustling underground city. It is filled with billions of microscopic workers. We are talking about beneficial bacteria, tiny insects, and helpful fungi. When you use harsh chemical fertilizers, you act like a giant bulldozer destroying that city. The chemicals give the plant a quick sugar rush, but they kill the natural ecosystem. The farmers in 1943 knew that if you build a strong, healthy underground city, those microbes will do all the heavy lifting for you. They will break down minerals and hand-deliver nutrients right to the roots of your vegetables. A great example of this is the wild forest. Nobody goes out and sprays chemical fertilizer in a wild forest. Yet, the trees grow massive. Why? Because the falling leaves feed the soil biology. This is the first step in tripling your harvest. You have to stop treating your garden like a chemical laboratory. You must start treating it like a living organism. If you rely on nature, you do not need to buy their expensive products year after year. Let us bust a massive myth right now. The fertilizer industry wants you to believe that plants only need 3 things to survive: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. You have probably seen the letters NPK on bags of soil at the store. This is a brilliant marketing trick. It keeps you buying their specific blends. But the researchers back in 1943 discovered that plants actually need more than 50 different trace minerals to reach their maximum size and yield. When you only provide 3 elements, your plants become weak. They might look green, but they lack the structural strength to produce a massive harvest. The secret technique from the war era focused on broad mineral diversity. They used things like crushed rock dust, seaweed, if they lived near the ocean, and deeply composted animal manures. Imagine trying to live your entire life eating nothing but vitamin C pills. You would survive for a while, but you would not be healthy or strong. Your plants feel the exact same way about synthetic NPK fertilizers. By introducing a massive variety of trace minerals back into your garden beds, you unlock the true genetic potential of your seeds. A tomato plant that normally gives you 10 tomatoes can suddenly produce 30. And the best part is that these tomatoes will actually taste like real food. They will be packed with dense nutrition that the chemical tomatoes completely lack. Now, let us talk about the specific layering technique they used to lock in these nutrients. During the war, people did not have time or energy to constantly dig up their yards. So they utilized an early version of what we now call no-till gardening. But they added a very specific twist in 1943. They created a lasagna-like structure directly on top of the native dirt. The bottom layer was always rich in carbon. They used thick layers of brown cardboard or dry autumn leaves. This smothered the weeds without using any toxic herbicides. On top of that, they placed nitrogen-rich green matter. This could be grass clippings or kitchen scraps. Finally, they capped it with a thick layer of finished compost. Here's a great illustration of how this works. Think of it like baking a cake. If you just throw flour, eggs, and sugar into a bowl without mixing or layering them properly, you get a mess. But when layered correctly on the ground, this compost cake begins to heat up naturally. The carbon and nitrogen react together. This creates a powerful thermal reaction that speeds up the breakdown of materials. In just a few weeks, you are left with rich black soil that is bursting with life. The industry hates this method. Why? Because you can literally build this super soil using garbage from your kitchen and yard. It costs $0 and it completely replaces their chemical bags. We cannot discuss this historical secret without talking about the magic of the white web. Have you ever dug into healthy soil and seen tiny white threads running through the dirt? Most people think it is a harmful mold and try to kill it. That is a huge mistake. Those white threads are called mycorrhizal fungi. In 1943, agricultural scientists realized that this fungus is the absolute key to a tripled harvest. These fungi attach themselves to the roots of your plants. They then stretch out for yards in every direction. They essentially act as an enormous secondary root system. When your plant gets thirsty or hungry, it sends a chemical signal into the soil. The fungus receives the message, finds the water or minerals far away, and transports it directly back to the plant. In exchange, the plant gives the fungus a tiny bit of liquid sugar. It is a perfect natural partnership. Modern chemical fertilizers destroy this delicate fungal network almost instantly. That is why conventionally grown plants need to be watered and fed constantly. They have lost their natural internet connection to the soil. By utilizing the gentle layering techniques from the 1940s, you protect and multiply this fungal network. Your plants will easily survive droughts and nutrient drops because they have a massive underground support system working for them 24 hours a day. So, if this system is so incredible, how did it get erased? The answer is, unfortunately, very simple. Follow the money. When World War II ended in 1945, The massive factories that produced nitrogen bombs were suddenly out of business. They had huge stockpiles of chemicals and massive manufacturing plants sitting completely empty. The executives realized that the same nitrogen used to make explosives could be repurposed into cheap, synthetic agricultural fertilizer. They launched one of the most aggressive marketing campaigns in history. They visited farmers and handed out free bags of these magical white chemical pellets. The initial results were visually stunning. Plants shot up tall and green very quickly. What they did not tell the farmers was that these chemicals were quietly burning away the organic matter in the soil. They were destroying the beneficial fungi and bacteria we just talked about. Fast forward a decade, and the soil was completely addicted to the chemicals. The natural 1943 methods were mocked as old-fashioned and dirty. Science textbooks were quietly rewritten to focus heavily on chemical farming. The big corporations effectively bought the entire agricultural education system. They erased the natural methods because you cannot patent leaves, dirt, and compost. You can only patent chemical formulas. The good news is that we can easily recreate this powerful 1943 method today. You do not need expensive equipment or a massive farm. You can do this in a small backyard, raised bed, or even in large balcony containers. The first practical step is to brew a batch of compost tea. This is exactly what it sounds like. You take a handful of rich natural compost and place it in a porous bag, almost like a giant tea bag. You then suspend this in a bucket of rainwater. You let it steep for 24 to 48 hours. During this time, the millions of beneficial microbes multiply rapidly in the water. You then take this dark, earthy-smelling liquid and water your plants with it. It is like giving your garden a massive dose of probiotics. Unlike chemical sprays that burn leaves, this natural tea coats the plant in a protective shield of good bacteria. If a pest or disease tries to attack the leaf, the good bacteria fight it off naturally. This was a common practice in victory gardens when commercial pesticides were unavailable. By applying this simple brew once every 2 weeks, you drastically increase the health and vigor of your vegetables. They will grow faster, stronger, and produce significantly more fruit. And again, this incredible growth booster costs absolutely nothing if you make your own compost at home. Another massive advantage of this forgotten system is unbelievable water retention. Did you know that a single handful of healthy, organic, rich soil can hold up to 10 times its weight in water? Let me give you an illustration. Imagine a dry, cheap kitchen sponge. If you pour a cup of water on it, the water runs right off the sides. This is exactly what happens to dead, chemically treated dirt. It becomes hard and repels moisture. You end up wasting hundreds of gallons of water every summer just trying to keep your tomatoes alive. But the 1943 method turns your garden bed into a premium, highly absorbent sponge. Because you are constantly adding layered organic matter, the soil structure changes completely. It becomes fluffy and porous. When it rains or when you water the garden, every single drop is captured and held deep underground. This means that during the blazing hot days of July and August, when everyone else's gardens are wilting and dying, your plants will stand tall and green. The roots will simply pull up the stored moisture from the deep organic layers. This constant stress-free access to water is a major reason why the harvest triples. The plants never have to stop growing to fight off dehydration. They spend all their energy producing beautiful giant vegetables for your kitchen table. Let us address the nightmare of every gardener. Bugs and pests, aphids, hornworms, and beetles can destroy months of hard work in a matter of days. The chemical industry tells you that the only solution is to buy their toxic bug sprays. But if you spray poisons on your food, you eventually eat those poisons. The brilliant gardeners of the 1940s had a completely different approach. They relied on the science of plant immunity. Here is a fascinating fact that might sound like science fiction, but it is entirely true. Bugs do not attack healthy plants. Pests are nature's garbage collectors. They are biologically programmed to seek out weak, sick, or chemically stressed plants. When a plant is grown using synthetic fertilizers, it actually emits a specific infrared frequency that signals weakness to passing insects. It is like ringing a dinner bell. But when you grow a plant using the nutrient-dense, mineral-rich methods of 1943, the plant develops a thick, waxy coating on its leaves. It builds complex sugars that insects simply cannot digest. If an aphid lands on a truly healthy, organically grown tomato plant, it will taste the sap, realize it cannot digest the complex compounds, and fly away to find a weaker plant. By focusing on soil health, you build an invisible, completely natural fortress around your garden. Now, let us look at the financial reality of this situation. Why does this matter to your wallet? If you walk into a garden center today, you will spend a small fortune. You buy bags of potting soil, boxes of fertilizer, bottles of pesticide, and liquid weed killers. A simple hobby garden can easily cost you several $100s a season. The corporations have successfully turned gardening into a subscription service. They want you coming back every spring with your credit card in hand. The 1943 method is the ultimate rebellion against this system. It is about total self-reliance. Once you establish the fungal networks and start the continuous cycle of layering organic matter, the garden becomes a self-sustaining engine. You use the leaves that fall from your trees, you use the scraps from your dinner plates, you use the grass clippings from your lawn. You transform household waste into black gold. Let us be honest, the industry erased this knowledge because a self-sufficient gardener is a terrible customer. When you harvest 3 times the food while spending $0 on chemicals, you beat the system. You secure your own food supply. In times of inflation and rising grocery prices, this forgotten knowledge is not just a neat trick. It is a vital survival skill for you and your family. The final piece of the puzzle is the long-term compounding effect. When you use chemical fertilizers, your soil gets worse every single year. You have to add more and more chemicals just to get the same results. It is a downward spiral of degradation, but the 1943 technique works in the exact opposite way. Every single year that you practice this natural layering and micro-building, your soil gets deeper, richer, and more fertile. Year 1 will be great. Year 2 will be astonishing. By year 3, you will be producing so much food that you will have to give it away to your neighbors. Your tomato vines will be 6 feet tall. Your carrots will be massive and sweet. Your peppers will be heavy and crisp. This is what a true harvest is supposed to look like. The earth wants to provide abundantly. It is only the interference of modern, profit-driven chemistry that holds it back. By returning to the wisdom of the past, we unlock the future of food. We honor the hard work of those who grew victory gardens during dark times. We take back our health, our land, and our independence. This is the truth they tried to bury. But like a strong, healthy seed planted in rich compost, the truth always finds a way to break through the surface and grow. And there you have it. The grand illusion of modern agriculture has been cracked wide open. The astonishing truth is that the key to a massive, tripled harvest has been hiding in the history books since 1943. By rejecting toxic chemicals, embracing the power of microscopic soil life, and layering organic matter, you create an unstoppable growing machine. The corporations tried to erase this because they cannot put a price tag on nature's genius. But now, the power is back in your hands. Thank you so much for watching and uncovering this mystery with us. If you are ready to ditch the chemicals and grow the biggest garden of your life, please hit that subscribe button right now. Give this video a big thumbs up and share it with a friend who loves to garden. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed a difference in taste between store-bought vegetables and naturally grown ones? Drop your stories and thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a revolution in our backyards.